It is time for the September indie releases of 2024. Hello everyone, welcome back to a fictional escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is the September indie releases of 2024, a video that I love making each and every month. My wallet, however, not so much. This month we have quite a few books on the list, and I'm excited to dive in, but I just wanted to make sure that you know these lists all come from Rob J. Hayes' blog, which will be linked down below. If you have a release coming out for the remainder of 2024 and beyond, you do have the option of submitting to this particular list so that you can get your books on there as well, and that link will also be down in the description box. So let's jump in to the releases coming our way this month. Actually, I always forget to do this. Make sure to check in the description box down below for links to my social media and Discord. Should you want to come along to the ride, if you're not there already, you're welcome to do that. Now let's jump into the books. On September 1st, we had Black Rain by A.C. Aquin, and this is the Kerry Chronicles book number 5. Covers will all be up here. This has got a really cool cover. I love the green magic happening in an urban fantasy setting. So it is following that sort of cover vibe that we get in urban fantasy, but I'm definitely digging the green. I'm just a sucker for a bit of green. But it is a book 5, so we'll have to move on from there. Another series continuation that also came out on September 1st is In Vitrix. This is by Asaf Mir, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. Apologies if I did not. This is Stories of Togas, Daggers, and Magic, book number 3. And it is historical fantasy. Now, historical and fantasy together, it just goes. It is one of my favorite subgenre blends to come out of fantasy. And it says the Fast and the Furies, races, curses, and forbidden places. But I cannot read any more than that because it is a book 3. On September 1st, we have the Systems Apocalypse Relentless, books 1 to 3 by Tao Wong and Craig Hamilton. How many series of the Systems Apocalypse are there? Because I can think of at least 4, if not 5, including the original, and there's just so many books across all the different universes. Now, as this is a little omnibus, we can do a read of the blurb. It says, Bale Bondsman, Veteran Survivor. How Masons, still going to find surviving the system apocalypse challenging. While bringing in his latest fugitive, Hal's payday is interrupted by the translucent blue boxes that herald Earth's introduction to the system, a galaxy-spanning wave of structured magical energy that destroys all electronics and bestows game-like abilities upon mankind. With society breaking down and mutating wildlife rampaging through the city of Pittsburgh, those who remain will sacrifice anything for a chance at earning their next level. As bodies fall and civilization crumbles, Hal finds himself asking what price is his humanity? Are the credits worth his hands being ever more stained with blood? Or does he press on relentless? It sounds really cool. I enjoyed the book that I read in, this multiverse. I read Systems Apocalypse Australia, or book number 1, which is called Town Under, and I read it because that title is funny. And it was enjoyable enough. I didn't really love all the stats on the audiobook, but I had a good time with sort of the adventure and the lit RPG elements that we had. So if you like that sort of stuff, check out this one. On the 3rd of September, we had An Exile of Water and Gold by Joshua Walker. This is the Song of the Sleepers, book 1. Fantastic Jeff Brown cover. I have had the pleasure of reading this one and really enjoyed it. In fact, I'm going to have Josh on the channel next week to talk about this release. For centuries, the Aobians of the Great Tree have shared the continent of Kaara with humanity. A select few, known as the Sleepers, are empowered by luminosity, the tree's greatest blessing. Drift, a young and cynical Aobian, has been exiled from his homeland forever. Now, with no understanding of this condemnation, Drift must traverse the land of humans below and find his purpose in an ever-changing world. Tari, his betrothed, seeks to do the same while also bringing him home. Elsewhere on Kiara, I probably butchered that because I pronounced it differently twice, an unknown organization seeks to weaponize luminosity for their own nefarious purposes. Drift himself is part of this puzzle, and it quickly becomes apparent that the struggle for true power on Kaara, third time, is emerging for reasons greater than anyone is prepared to grasp. It was really fun. I'm hoping more people pick this one up. If you are someone who sort of likes sort of those deep themes in your fantasy, this is definitely going to be one to gravitate towards. This one I found does focus quite heavily on environmentalism, being the great tree that we are in and preserving the great tree. There was some cool conversations about things that are happening in the world now, as well as your fantasy elements. Also on the 3rd of September, we had Remnants of a Scarlet Flame. This is the last dragon, I'll pronounce that wrong, saga number 1 by Cindy L. Sell, and this is in the epic fantasy realm. And the cover, I really like the fire, or the, I don't know, magic, fire, whatever's happening in the background there. My eyeballs dig it. For 2 centuries, Silgians, we're going to go with it, have been hunted by the Sorcerers Guild. Desperate to procure life-sustaining resources for his people, Siljan Allah Felman uses his psionic powers to infiltrate the guild's ranks as a student of magic. It's really cool, cruel reading these without my glasses on. The guild's star prodigy, Daya McVen, cherishes her friendship with the new student. Daya's secrets far surpass Allah's inability to penetrate her mind. As she languishes beneath her mentor's demands, her talent breeds contempt among the elder sorcerers, who crave nothing more than to see her fall. When a leader of the Silgian resistance is captured, Allah risks his alias to rescue him, but the leader's prophetic visions allude to a greater threat, one that inexorably ties the fate of Allah's people to Daya. Uncertain whether she is fated to be his people's greatest hope or their swiftest destruction, Allah must wrest Daya from enemy hands. with war looming and the remnants of an ancient magic return to the world, one wrong move could spell disaster for an entire race. That one sounds intriguing, like a bit of fun, not so much for the people inside of the book. No stranger to this list, also having a book that released on September 3rd, is Niranjan K, and this is The Shadows of the Fallen. This is epic fantasy and sword and sorcery with a cover that looks like that. Very cool cover, very intrigued by it. With threats of invasion to destroy their world and a court full of people intent on usurping the throne, can Devon keep himself alive long enough to save Epithia? When his guardian dies unexpectedly and he's forced to claim the throne of Zeldria, hopefully, Devon is in for an uphill battle. His court is full of cutthroats who heal to the core of power, and their loyalty to his guardian was bought through fear. Herius was a fallen, capable of annihilating them without thought, but Devon is only human. Unlike his mentor, he doesn't have the earth-shattering powers, and he's not that hard to kill. Harriet's death raises bigger questions, however. Unless Harriet allowed himself to be killed, no normal human could have done it. Worse, the assassin they captured is missing from the dungeons, and he took all the answers with him. It's starting to look like an inside job. Those closest to Harrias are the prime suspects, but those same nobles and generals have now sworn oaths to Devon, and he's not sure which ones he can trust. To make matters worse, there are rumblings beyond the kingdom, whispers of invasion from beyond the stars, an invasion that could wipe off all life and destroy their world unless Devon can find a way to avert it. When everyone believes he's spinning tales to strengthen his position, can he keep himself alive long enough to save the world? That one sounds really cool. That's definitely drawn my attention. What is going to happen to Devon? I need to know. Also on September 3rd, it seems like a pretty popular day, Fang of the Wolf was released by Ella Walker Henderson, and this is Valeria Descending Book Number 1, and it's got a very cool cover, and I'm guessing Norse mythology people are going to enjoy this one. The raiders came, they took her father, and they left her for dead. In the heart of the Northlands, the Varg is the greatest warrior of his clan. His daughter, Valeria, has trained all her life to follow in his footsteps. The morning after her initiation as a warrior, an enemy clan ambushes the Varg's hunting party and leaves Valeria unconscious. When she wakes, her father has disappeared. When the clan refuses to send men after the Varg, believing him dead or soon to be, Valeria leaves on her own. He's alive, and she will not rest until she rescues the father who gave her everything, no matter the cost. The warriors who captured him won't be easy foes, most of all Cullen Yarlson, the son of the enemy warlord. Rumors say he's better with a sword even than the Varg. But during her mission, Valeria discovers a new force beyond the clans that threatens them all. That sounds really cool. Also, on the 3rd of September, like I said, it's been a very popular day. We had the Brewmasters Nephew by Thom Wilson, and this is probably my cover pick of the lot of this bunch. It looks charming, and I just love dwarves, and this person is definitely giving me dwarf vibes. Tradition is everything to the dwarves of the Oak Brew clan, and for humble barman Bayonet Oak Brew, this means serving his family's legendary Oak Brew ale to the thirsty villagers of Ekus. When I say I'm not like much into cozy fantasy, if there's like a tavern or an ale house, I mean, I love just going to one myself, sitting there with a pint and just looking at nothing. I'm probably gonna have a good time, so this one's already on my radar. I digress. When Uncle Helgier refuses to sell the clan's coveted beer recipes and tavern to a rival brewery owner Nezasha, Wheatshine, love that, she orders her goons to ransack the tavern and steal their ingredients. With his clan's establishment in shambles and their livelihoods at stake, Baina, his loyal cook and magical elven friend Salandra, his best customer, the old warrior Vagard, and the halfling bard Finnegan leave their village behind and venture across Val Escar with the hopes of bringing Nezasha to justice and recovering the 4 ingredients required to brew their famous water: hops, barley, and yeast. Can Baina and his friends restore their tavern before Nezasha's brewers and their vast distribution network replicate their beer and put them out of business? That's going on the buy list immediately. I'm very intrigued and I need to know more. Also on the 3rd of September, we have the next installment of Hybrid Helix. At number 5, we have Eyes of Empire by JCM Byrne. The Ursons are in the background. I've really got to get back to this series, but the cover looks like this. It's a book 5. I'm not reading the blurb, just out of sheer selfishness. So we'll have to move on from that one. Again, on the 3rd of September, we had Seeker of Truth, Rivium Book 5 by Yer Patch. It's a sci-fantasy lit RPG. I just scrolled down to see if there's any more September 3rds, and there is. This one is a book number 5. It says, Can Mia Lark save the world or will she destroy it? I can't go more into detail than that. Love the cover. It's green. There's a tiger / big cat happening in the background. Love that too. But we'll move on. Also, on September 3rd, we had Dark Drinker by Zamil Akhtar and another series I really need to get back into because I've enjoyed my reread of the first book so much. And this is Gunmetal Gods, book number 4. Again, horrifying cover, but you can't help but look at it. And it's also green. What's a green lover to do? I don't know. Buy this book. But selfishly, again, I'm not going to read the blurb there. On the 5th of September, we have moved on from the 3rd. We have Deficient Wizard by Chad Returath. And if I'm pronouncing words wrong, I'm pronouncing them wrong confidently. But you can tell me that they're wrong in the comments. This is Legend of the Awakened Goblin, book number 1, and is an epic fantasy lit RPG, and I'm very intrigued. This is a cute cover. Oh, RIP, my budget for the month. In the mythical world of Verdentalis, the gods created 7 towering dungeons, each a treasure trove of loot and power, with a fragment of the ultimate prize at the very top. Heroes are beckoned by the promise of any wish granted upon conquering them all. An anomaly unfolds within the depths of the Great Forest Dungeon as an ordinary goblin mob gains self-awareness and embarks on a journey to conquer all 7 dungeons of Verdentalis, chasing the elusive fulfillment of the god's promise. That's a concept I've often thought about when reading literary RPGs, is what if your NPCs become self-aware? Now I have to buy it. Thank you, Chad. But I'm very intrigued by that one. On the 6th of September, there's a book that I've been lucky enough to read well in advance of the release, and this is Imbued by Helena L. Clove. And it was beautiful. Very philosophical, very purple prose, very hard-hitting. Had some really deep topics that we were dealing with here, and it was just done so beautifully, in my opinion. This is epic fantasy, grim, dark, and I would say some romance elements along the way there. Magic was always going to be my downfall. I've known that from the start. Kala has no memories of her childhood except for hazy recurring nightmares. Working as a servant in Kirong, the picturesque terrace garden home to one of the most influential families in the Kampua Dominion, she's content to live a simple life, as long as no one finds out about the forbidden magic stirring under her skin. When the estranged family heir, Grey, a mage hunter in servitude of the loyal hold, unexpectedly returns home, Calla's secret threatens to surface. Instead of turning her in, however, Grey offers her the one thing she's always feared, to teach her how to use her power. And as the turbulent tides of long-forgotten magic draw them together, Calla finds it harder and harder to deny her potential. But Grey knows more than what he admits. In the aftermath of a vile political plot targeting him, and with the shadow of a mage uprising cast upon the land, finding out what happened to Calla in her forgotten years might be their only chance to survive. Except the knowledge could break them both. It could break the world. It's a good book. That's a good sell. You should read it. On September 7th, we had Magic Kingdom at War, book number 5 by Tao Wong. No stranger again to these lists. I'm pretty sure he's been on every single time. It says Friends in Unexpected Places, but it is a book 5, so we'll be moving on there. On September 10th, we had Knee Deep in Cinders by Ashley Capes. I'm quite intrigued by this cover and this title. It says Freedom, Magic, Vengeance. Velas is a man consumed by anger, kept prisoner in the city that slaughtered his people. He dreams of the day his magic is unleashed so he can burn everything to ash. When the city's queen asks for his help hunting down rebel cultists, he agrees in exchange for his freedom, his magic, and a night in her bed. What a classy lad. Given access to only a fraction of his magic and forced to work alongside a jailer who can steal it entirely, a quick escape is impossible. Vilas knows his freedom hinges on his wits and his self-control, but every day he's reminded of the horrors done to his people, testing the limits of his restraint. Can Vilas outwit the Queen and have his revenge on the city, or will his all-consuming rage be his undoing? That sounds great as well. We are doing lots of damage to my wallet on this list today. On the 16th of September, we have When Darkness Hunts at Dawn by M.H. Woodscourt, The Dragon of Rakan, book number 1. I really do need to read more of this author as well. I've read one I think she typically writes in YA, and The Shattered Arch, which I read, say, a year or two ago now, was fantastic. So I really do need to read more of M.H. Woodscourt's stuff. This one says Rebel, Captive, Dragon. Condemned for leading a rebellion against a petty tyrant, Melkona and his twin sister resign themselves to a fiery death. But when the stake is lit, the flames answer till Melkona, and he and his sister escape amid the ensuing chaos. On the run, they discover they're being chased by worse than the tyrant's knights. From deep underground, dark mages hunt them for a birthright they never knew. With unexpected help from a magic box and a peculiar wood elf, the twins race to foreign lands to seek refuge from the legendary Dragon King. But their relentless pursuers will stop at nothing to use Melkona's blood to stir the embers of an ancient war against humans, elves, and dragons. That sounds like fun as well. On the 19th, we have The Mist of Nilflungar, the Ragnarok Prophecy, book number 2 by Matt Larkin. I feel like Matt's also on this list quite a lot too. And this is epic fantasy, grimdark, and historical fantasy. Matt Larkin does write predominantly in the historical fantasy realm, or so I've sort of read in these lists over the last few years, and someone I really should read. Also on the 19th of September, we have book 4 of the Edinburgh Doctrines. That is my brand. I don't know how to pronounce this word. By C.L. Jarvis, and it's called A Codex of Metal. I've only read book 1. I really have to read books 2 and 3. I own them. I just haven't read them. And then I've already pre-ordered this one, so it'll be in my Kindle in a couple of days' time. Each of these books are set in the 18th century Edinburgh, and it follows people of that time period and just sort of makes little bits of magic happen, which is really cool. So this is definitely in the historical fantasy camp, and I've enjoyed my time with the series so far. But it is a book 4, so we do need to move on. On the 24th of September, we have Revenants. This is Plague Blade, cool series title, book number 1 by B.L. Daniels, and this is grimdark, sword and sorcery, and also has that historical fantasy tagline there. A desperate race against an encroaching abyss, the Black Plague is not what it seems. The lone survivor of a strange and brutal massacre, Johann de Arles, is thrown to the mercy of King Philip the Fourth. I don't know Roman numerals. I didn't pay attention to that. I think it's the Fourth, who forces him to expose the supernatural origin of the Black Plague. Johann embarks on a perilous journey, his shadowy past lurking behind him, and reluctant companions by his side. Time is dwindling, the pestilence is spreading, and the world teeters on a blade's edge. He uncovers a sinister plot born of arcane secrets and faces nightmarish creatures, all the while balancing tenuous alliances with his own inner demons. The plague is spreading and even his foes are not who they seem. Will Johann emerge from the abyss victorious or succumb to the insidious forces that threaten to engulf the world in eternal darkness? That also sounds so good. I have to buy that one as well. On the 26th of September, maybe this is my favorite cover. And I'm very intrigued. Is this the second one from this author this month? Hang on, fact checking. It is. It is the second one from this author in the same month. And I'm also intrigued by this one. Anyway, I'll cut all the time I spent doing that out while we get to the current book. This is Slug Train, also by Chad Rederath. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly one of these times. Urban/cozy fantasy. This cover, the neon, chef kiss, neon pink bug. Love it. Nowhere is as dangerous as the wildwood. Enormous insects inhabit the forest, happy to devour any human that step foot within. As long as humans stay out of the forest, they are safe. The Slug Train follows a strict schedule, transporting humans through the untamed central forest of Wildwood Isle on Mondays and Thursdays. Many people, like Chester Peakman, use the slug as a means to commute to the opposite side of Wildwood Isle. Chester is happy to escape the daily monotony of his career to look into the dangerous dark forest on the long ride from Hanifa Bay to Fothwood. Every day is dreaded, every moment at work a nightmare. The Slug Train is a brief interlude from that existential despair, a relaxing event, until the slug leaves its own route, bringing its passengers into the dangerous depths of the Wildwood. Dang it, Chad. You're 2 for 2 on this month. And the last one that we have for the month of September on this list is Winterthorne's Shards. This is the Courier Chronicles, book number 2 by Emily Almanza. And again, hopefully I pronounced all those words correctly. Really loving the sword and the plant life on this cover. Stunning artwork. This is epic fantasy, grimdark, and sword and sorcery. And as a book 2, I can just give you the first line of this blurb. It says, "The games we play are deadly." And we'll leave it at that. There are some very exciting releases for me on this book. I'm going straight to author websites to see if we can get some ebooks happening because I'm very interested in what's going on here. And if not, my Kindle is going to be hit up with a few new books. What was your pick from the list? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content, give one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will. And I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.